Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're once again having a great day. Um, Today, I want to talk a little bit about Judges. This is an interesting patch of scripture here. Um, there's a story. I'm gonna start in Judges 20. We're gonna be Judges 24 through. We're gonna do 4 through 13. But there's a story prior to it, and there's a story after it. But I want to focus on the middle, and we'll touch about what God has to say on this morning. But let's go there. And I just want to say, sometimes obvious is just not obvious. Hear me. Obvious is just not obvious. A lot of times we expect people to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And you're looking at that from your perspective because that's how you think it's the right thing to do. And a lot of times we set ourselves up for failure. We lose the war because we set ourselves up to lose the war because we're losing the battle in our mind, because our mind is telling, well, that's just the right thing to do. But you got to understand, it's the right thing to do as far as you're concerned. Hear me? I'm going somewhere with this. It's the right thing to do as far as you're concerned. In Judges, we're going to start in Judges 20 and 4. Let's start here. The Levite husband of the woman who had been murdered said, my wife or my concubine and I came to spend the night in Gibeah, a town that belongs to the people of Benjamin. Now, Benjamin is one of the 12 tribes. 5. That night, some of the leading citizens of Gibeah surrounded the house, planning to kill me, and they raped my concubine until she was dead. So I cut her body into 12 pieces and sent the pieces throughout the territory assigned to Israel. For these men have committed a terrible and shameful crime. 7. Now, then all of you, the entire community of Israel, must decide here and now what should be done about this. And all the people rose to their feet in unison and declared, none of us will return home, not even one of us. Instead, this is what we will do to Gibeah. We will draw lots to decide who will attack it. 10. 1/10 of the men from each tribe will be chosen to supply the warriors with food, and the rest of us will take revenge on Gibeah of Benjamin for this shameful thing they had done in Israel. 11. So all the Israelites were completely united, and they gathered together to attack the town. 12. The Israelites sent messengers to the tribe of Benjamin saying, what a terrible thing has been done among you. What a terrible thing has been done among you. Give up those evil men, those troublemakers from Gibeah, so we can execute them and purge Israel of this evil. Here's the kicker. But the people of Benjamin would not listen. Instead, they came from their towns and gathered at Gibeah to fight the Israelites. I'm going to stop right there. That was 14. So I'm going to paint the picture. And, once again, our topic is the obvious, and the obvious is not the obvious. This man and his wife were traveling back from a town that was outside of their normal living surroundings, meaning they were outside of the tribe, one of their tribes, of their people. And they were traveling in the middle of the night, and they didn't stop because they didn't want to stop in any foreign places. They wanted to stop where they know they had the rights to be there in a safe zone. Hear me. So they happened to stop in one of the 12 tribes, which was Gibeah, which was inhabited by the Benjamites. Okay, now, you got the 12 tribes of Israel. Everybody broke up into their own towns. They stopped in Gibeah, the Benjamites. And in this, they stayed with one of with an individual that lived in the town. During that time, um, some evil men, some evil men came and wanted to rape him, the man. Instead, they end up raping the woman, and they said they raped her all night until she died. He found his wife on the doorstep, dead, in his own town, amongst his people. Hear me? So we fast forward, you know, all the other tribes and the whole community found out about it and they were enraged. This is obvious. This is wrong. We have to purge. We have to get rid of the evil that's among us. That needs to be dealt with. We cannot go forth and not deal with that. But as you see, what the obvious answer should have been amongst the tribes was not obvious. The Benjamites decided that they were not going to give up these evil few that caused all this havoc. And they decided they were going to go to war. Hear me, guys. So why is this important? Well, in my years on this earth, I started off this conversation talking about how, well, specifically with me, how I've fallen short expecting people to do the right thing just because it was the right thing to do. It was obvious. I mean, it's just the right thing to do. And I've fallen short throughout my life many times because my expectations was that we were going to deal with that united as they originally were, except this 1/12, the Benjamites. Everybody was united. Everybody knew this was the right thing to do, except these individuals. And I found myself in a place of dismay because in my mind, I was willing to lose the war because I was losing the battle in my mind because I was expecting them to do the right thing. And that's not what they wanted to do. I remember early on in my career, and I need to tie this into something personal to give you an example of what I mean. This is one of the areas where I was going to, willing to give up the war because I was losing the battle in my mind because, oh no, I'm going to quit because this is just not right. This is not right. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not playing fair. They're not playing fair. I remember early on in my career, I had a long-standing career with a specific firm, and I was a very hard worker. And in my immaturity, my expectations was, well, when I do a good job, because I am doing a good job, because I am leading, because I am being mature, because I am looking out for the whole of the company and doing my due diligence and make sure we're all successful, that my compensation would reflect that. And in my mind, if I do the right thing by them, they were going to do the right thing by me. It was obvious. You do the right thing is going to happen. See, but the problem was, I was expecting the right thing to happen through them. Hear me. I was expecting that they were going to do the right thing. Now, mind you, because I did the right thing, I was eventually rewarded, but I was looking for the reward to come from them. And because it didn't come from them, it was messing me up in here. Hear me. It was messing me up in here because because I'm doing right by you, you have to do right by me. And that's not the way the world works. But when that's your expectation up here, you could give up everything, because, oh no, these individuals are going to do the right thing because I'm going to make them do the right thing because that's not fair, and yada yada. And I was expecting that they were going to do it. So as you know, by the way the story is going, they didn't. They chose not to. They chose to bypass everything that I was doing. They chose to bypass the obvious thing to do for their own benefit. They didn't do it. Now, that's just one. And in my mind, oh, I'm not having this. Oh, I quit. Oh, I'm going to teach them all a lesson. I quit. I quit. Because they weren't doing the right thing, so I quit. Now, this is the key. Should I have been upset? Yes. Should I have had some conversation? Yes. Ultimately, I did the right thing. I ended up going back. But this is the key. I understood and I matured through that process of understanding. Hear me. I understood how the game was played, so now I know how to play it. See, I put all my hopes and my dreams and my well-being thinking that the right thing was going to happen just because I was doing the right thing to them. My expectations is that they were going to take care of me, not God. Here we have the Israelites. Here we have the Israelites expecting that the obvious thing to do was just to give up the few men that caused this harm and it all go away. They didn't expect that they were going to have a tribe out of their communities decide that no, we're not giving them up. We're going to fight. As wrong as all get out. Well, fast forward through the story. The process in which God used, now there was retribution had, but it didn't come. It didn't come exactly as the rest of the 11 tribes expected would. Because during this process, when the whole Israelite decided they were going to go up against the Benjamites, their first battle, they lost. They lost 22,000 men. Now, mind you, God told them to go up against them, but they lost. Hear me. They went back to God. They wept. They fasted, and they went and asked God, "Are we to go up against them again?" He said, "Yes." They went up against them a second time. The second time, they lost another 18,000 Israelites. Now, hear me, guys. Now, they're fighting for the right thing. They're coming up against the enemy. They're fighting for the right cause, and what appears is that they were losing. But on the third try, I won't say the third day, but the third try, when they went up, guys, they asked them again, after they fasted and they went up to the altar, and they, "God, are we to go up against them again?" He said, "Yes, but this time I'm going to give them into your hands." And the third time was a charm. Now, you say, where are you going with this? Well, during the process in which I had to go through those trials and tribulations and tough spots in my life, with the story I gave you earlier about my employer, it wasn't easy. It didn't come just like that. The right thing just didn't happen because he needed to get some things out of me first. He needed me to understand, Leonard, you were expecting them to pay you. You were expecting them to advance you. But see, they don't have your best interest at heart. See, I need you to understand, and I need you to see that you putting your eggs in their basket, you're going to lose. Put your eggs in my basket. See, he had to show the Israelites, because remember, we're Judges now. You remember, there was no kings yet. There was judges leading them. At this time, they didn't have a judge. And pretty much Israelites were off doing their own thing. The Israelites was Israeliting. Hear me. They were doing what Israel does. Disobedient, worshiping other gods. You know the story. You know in Judges and what Israel was doing. They were just not right most of the time. They would have a wave going on. Sometimes that's right, but it was always, they were always in the low area doing what they know God didn't want them to do. So this was an opportunity once again for God to show them, hey, I'm going to send you up. And the first time you're going to lose so many people. The second time you're going to lose so many people, just so you get the understanding that you can't do anything without me. And the third time I said, okay, this time I'll give them into your hands. So I have to show you that you're only going to win because I provided for you, not because you put your provisions in man to do the right thing. Man is going to fail you. You're going to lose the war dealing with the man in your head. Hear me. Hear me. Don't lose the war. Don't put your eggs in man's basket. Expect a man to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Man is going to fail you. And here we have, once again, God having to allow them to walk through the process to see. You can walk through this and you can stand up and do the right thing. But if I'm not with you, you're going to lose. Even when it's the right thing. Because you need to understand, you put your eggs in the wrong basket in the first place. You expected man to do the right thing. And man is going to let you down every time. Don't put your hopes in them, put it in me. And some of us right now may be going through one of them times in our life where we're trying to do the right thing and we're being wronged. But we're expecting the wrong people to do the right thing. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Put your trust in the Lord. Expect man to be man. Hear me. Expect man to be man. And expect God to be God. Put your hopes and your trust and your eggs in his basket. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't lose the war because you're losing the battle in your mind. Don't do it. Don't do it. Set the right expectations. That makes sense? I hope that blessed you today. We'll talk soon.